So the Prime Minister tonight reacting to what has happened over the course of the last 48 hours. His conclusion, very simple, it's all the far right. As if they're causing all of the problems. No, the far right are a reaction, fear, to discomfort, to unease that is out there shared by tens of millions of people. Let me be clear. I don't support street violence. I don't support thuggery in any way at all. But I'm worried, not just about the events in Southport, but about societal decline that is happening in our country. Law and order, folks, on our streets is breaking down. This Prime Minister hasn't got an earthly clue how to deal with it. We need to start getting tough. We need to use stop and search, regardless of the colour of the skin of anyone that gets stopped. We need tougher prison sentences for anybody carrying a knife. We need folks to get real. Because I tell you what, what you've seen on the streets of Hartlepool, of London, of Southport is nothing to what could happen over the course of the next few weeks. Let's have proper law and order. But Mr. Starmer, just to blame a few far-right thugs to say that's the root of our problems doesn't work.
The Prime Minister has the nerve to blame the far right as if it were the sole cause of the problems in this country. What audacious blindness. The truth is that the far right is just a consequence, a symptom of something much deeper. This movement arises from fear, anxiety, and the accumulated frustration felt by millions of people. And no, I'm not talking about a few misfits. I'm talking about a society that is teetering on the brink of collapse. Let's look at reality. The violence we have seen in the streets is not an accident. It is not an isolated coincidence. What do you expect to happen when people feel that the authorities are abandoning them? I do not advocate violence. I do not advocate brutality or vandalism, but it is impossible to ignore that what we are seeing is the direct result of the government's ineptitude. The Prime Minister has no idea how to stop this spiral of chaos. He is lost, disconnected from reality, while law and order crumble before his eyes and ours. The situation in Southport, in Hartlepool, in London is just the beginning. Discontent is growing, insecurity in our streets is increasing day by day, and solutions are conspicuous by their absence. What we have seen so far is but a small taste of what is to come if we continue on this path. Criminality is advancing, and with it, the feeling of helplessness among ordinary citizens, those who day by day try to lead a normal life in the midst of chaos. We need a firm response. We need drastic measures. Enough of empty speeches. Enough of blaming radical groups without getting to the bottom of the problem. The government needs to act, and it needs to do so immediately. It's time for real action to be taken. Stop and frisk, no matter the color of your skin, no matter where you come from. Safety should be for everyone, and anyone willing to carry a knife or gun on our streets must face the most severe consequences. We cannot continue to be soft. The punishments must be exemplary. Enough with criminals going in and out of prison as if it were a joke. We need tougher laws. We need a judicial system that truly does justice. Anyone who dares to carry a gun on the streets must pay the price without excuses, without half measures. And it is not just about the extreme right, nor about one group or another. It is about restoring order in a society that is on the brink of the abyss. What we have seen so far on the streets of our cities is just a warning. If we do not act soon, violence that is sporadic today will become the norm. Anarchy will take over, and we will regret not having acted when it was still possible. It's not about ideologies or political labels. It's about protecting our people, about making sure that our streets are safe for our children, for our families. And while all this is happening, what does the Prime Minister do? He points the finger at a few, ignores the real problem, and keeps talking about abstract solutions that serve no purpose. We need leadership. We need courage. No more excuses or blaming others. Now is the time to act. If we do not do it now, the country we know will disappear under the weight of its own insecurity. What we need is a leader who understands the gravity of the situation, who stops looking for culprits and focuses on real solutions. We don't need any more empty words. We need immediate action. The streets must be reclaimed, and anyone who puts the safety of others at risk must face the most severe consequences without exception. No more excuses. It is time for this government to face reality. This is not a call to violence, but it is a call to action. We cannot allow lawlessness and disorder to become the new normal. The government must restore order. It must ensure that anyone who defies the law is treated with the full force of the judicial system. If we don't do it now, we will pay a much higher price in the future. The chaos we see in the streets today is nothing compared to what could come if we continue to ignore the gravity of the situation. And if we don't act, the worst is yet to come. The social tension is palpable, and every day that passes without a real solution brings us closer to the brink of collapse. We cannot allow our cities to become battlefields where ordinary citizens are afraid to take to the streets. How much longer are we going to wait? The government has the resources, it has the tools, but what it lacks is the will to do the right thing. If we continue to allow insecurity to grow, we will lose control. More police are needed on the streets, and not just to patrol, but to enforce the law with all its rigor. The police must be equipped to deal with the reality we face today. Criminals cannot continue to walk among us with impunity. We need a firm hand, not just empty words, and society must support these measures because otherwise chaos will be the norm and not the exception. The future of our society is at stake. This is the moment when we must choose. Either we restore order or we accept to live in disorder. And I assure you that if we do not act now, what we have seen so far will be nothing more than the prelude to an even greater storm. But beyond security measures, we also need an honest conversation about what's fueling this discontent. People are frustrated, abandoned by a system that no longer offers them security or opportunities. If we continue to ignore the true causes of this unrest, the discontent will turn into a snowball that no government will be able to stop. Fear and insecurity have deeply affected the population, and this is a problem that transcends any political affiliation. It's easy to point fingers at the far right, but that doesn't solve the underlying issue. The government must assume its responsibility to protect all citizens no matter who they are, and that starts by understanding the origin of the anger in the streets. It's not just a matter of punishment, but of prevention. However, preventive measures must be accompanied by a clear and strong approach to law enforcement. We cannot allow our streets to become war zones. The Prime Minister must demonstrate leadership, stop hiding behind excuses, and act decisively to restore citizens' confidence. Because if we don't act now, if we continue to watch the foundations of our society crumble, we'll be handing the future over to anarchy, and when chaos reigns, it will be too late to react. We need strong leadership. We need a government willing to face challenges with courage and determination. The country is at a crossroads. This is the moment to decide whether we want a safe and orderly society, or if we'll allow fear and insecurity to dominate us. And the only way to guarantee peace in our streets is by taking forceful and decisive measures before it's too late. We must face the truth. The longer we ignore these issues, the worse they will become. Discontent is growing, and if we don't act now, we'll soon lose control. Our leaders must stop making empty promises and take decisive action to restore safety and trust. Society cannot continue down this path without consequences. If we want a future that's stable and secure, we need bold leadership that is unafraid to make tough decisions. This is no longer about political sides. It's about protecting the very fabric of our society. The choice is simple: restore order or allow chaos to reign. The government must step up and put the safety of its citizens first. No more hesitation, no more excuses. If this resonates with you and you want to stay informed, don't forget to subscribe. Together, we can demand the change that's needed to secure a better future for everyone.